He's been in brilliant form during this year. Whatever happens here, Kirani James certainly a big name in the future, I'm sure. But Merritt going to defend his world title. Away they go. Gonzalez got a brilliant start there. Took a couple of meters out of Merritt in about the first 20. And Kirani James has gone off very steadily indeed. And Kevin Borley, the European champion, is having quite a good run, but so is Tabare Henry outside him. And now Merritt begins to charge. He's running down James outside him. He's going to run this third 100 very quickly indeed. That's what he always does. And Roldale Bartholomew gaining on Gonzalez. Now what has Merritt got left? Merritt comes into the home straight, but Kirani James is coming back at the American. Kirani James is eating up the ground. James is going to win it. The defending champion is beaten. An 18-year-old has won the World Championship 400-meter final. 44.61. That equals his lifetime best, and by the time we get the official result, it could be even quicker. And LaShawn Merritt, I'm not sure he could quite believe what happened there. Kirani James, it is confirmed, as the fastest time the 18-year-old has ever run, and I tell you what, he's hardly breathing. 44.60, the new senior men's world champion.
Well, good evening and welcome to another in the series of TalkSports, where we sit down and discuss with the movers and shakers of sports in Grenada. This week, our guest is no other than Kirani James, Grenada's first and only Olympic and World 400 meters champion. Kirani needs no further introduction since he's an established and well-known international athlete who has and continues to represent Grenada. Kirani burst onto the international stage when he won the 400 meters at the World Championships in Daegu, South Korea in 2011, as we just saw moments ago. He also dominated the US Collegiate Championships and then took aim at the Olympic Games in London, where he won the gold in 2012. He took silver in the Rio Olympic Games behind South Africa's Wade van Niekerk's world record of 43.03 seconds and bronze in the 2015 World Championships in Beijing. But it's correct to say that Kirani is on the rebound following his diagnosis with Graves' disease, an autoimmune disorder that causes an overactive thyroid. The treatment and recovery resulted in his absence in competition for the remainder of the 2017 season that included the World Championships. There's a lot to discuss this evening. So without further ado, I welcome Ambassador Kirani James to this evening's program. Good evening to you, Kirani.
Yeah, good evening, my friend.
And how have you been coping with this pandemic? We must start off by that.
Yeah, just trying to stay relaxed, just try to not think about everything too much, because if you do, it could get a little bit stressful. So, I just try to do things to keep my mind off it, watch some TV or play some video games or something like that. Don't read too much, don't watch too much of the news. I read it, but other than that, just trying to stay calm and relax.
But have you been able to train, do anything during this time?
No, well, nothing structurally, nothing in a program. The only thing I'm doing is just general fitness stuff. So, so just like in my apartment, like I have this little area where I could like work out, do some like a little mini circuit or something like that. And then in terms of like running, like all the tracks and stuff is close to here where I'm at. So the good thing about where I'm at is there's a lot of places where they have these little parks. So I go there and I jog sometimes and I do a little something, but it's nothing, too strenuous or anything.
Okay, but unlike the indoor competition and probably other sporting disciplines like basketball, volleyball, track and field competitions, and what you specialize in mainly outdoors. So how have you been able to keep your body in shape during this time of the year? I mean, for whatever you have been doing, keeping your body in shape.
Yeah, like I say, it's just, some general fitness stuff, like even like I can't even go to the gym because even like the apartment where I live, we have like a gym, like even that is closed, So like I said, I just, do some stuff in my living room, and when I could go out and jog or things like that, I do that.
Is there an eagerness for Kirani James to return to competition?
Well, as a competitor, yes, but as a human, not really, because I've already accepted the fact that this is not something normal. We're not in normal times, so I just have to accept that competition and everything this year would be unlikely. So I've really come to peace with that, and I'm just trying to see where everything is going so that I can start preparing for next year.
But what were among your plans or your goals for the 2020 season before this pandemic came about?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the Olympics is supposed to be going on right now. So, so that's not happening, and in terms of just having like a general schedule, so I had some of the races planned, so all those got canceled. I know we were having one home, I think it was early April, so that got canceled. And so, yeah, I think the main thing would have been the Olympic Games.
Okay, well, let's return to some.
And a fair start in the men's 400-meter dash. Kirani James in lane 4 in the all-black. Every fan in the stadium on their feet cheering Kirani James as he goes down the backstretch. And I tell you what, he looks very, very comfortable. He's made very light work of Javon Francis. And midway through this race, it's all Kirani James thus far. Kirani James with 150 to go. Grenada on its feet. James with work to do, but turns the home straight away. He might have a step. Kirani James pulling away. The Grenadian flags waving. Kirani James wins his first race at his stadium named after him. The flash time 45-41, and nobody jumping up and down will care tonight. They saw Kirani deliver in the stadium that bears his name. And as he always does, Kirani James walking around to shake the hand of every competitor in the field. That's one of his signatures of being a great professional athlete.
So that was April of 2017, and something I always look back at, and after competing, and that was actually in Grenada. But then about 2 weeks later, at the Drake relays, where things didn't go as anticipated. Later, you found out about your condition. So I'm asking, were you ever scared when you learned about the grave disease and the possibilities? And looking at your disposition after that race in Grenada, and thinking back, do you think it was also a sign that things were not going well?
Yeah, I think in hindsight, I think it was a sign, especially, the time it took me to recover. I remember I was in the, I guess, the medical area. I think there were some nurses there, really, really good people, that helped take care of me, and they, took like my blood pressure and stuff like that. So then I was kind of like, the recovery time that it took for me to go back and do normal stuff. It was longer than I usually do after any competition. So I would say, yeah, that was kind of a sign that it was something was not, adding up.
Yeah, but something was not adding up. But then let's fast forward now to the Drake relays when things really started to act up, and I think even at that time you were not convinced yet because I think it's only after you get to know, well, what was the problem. So what was playing up in your mind, Kirani, around that time?
Yeah, I think, like it was happening so fast, I didn't even realize, what was really going on. So I think really when I fully was convinced that something wasn't right was after Drake Relays, where the same thing happened, where I didn't compete well. And then also, it's like it was a recovery time. So that didn't, so after that, we decided to go see a doctor and did some tests and all that. So that's when we kind of found out that it was a thyroid issue.
Okay. And mind me asking, are you fully recovered from the disease now? Are you fully recovered?
Well, I wouldn't say fully recovered because I have to be on medication, I think for the rest of my life. So, yeah, but in terms of just being, just confident in going forward, yeah.
And what should people know about this grave disease? I mean, from your experience, what you think they should know?
Well, I just think is an autoimmune thing. So it's not anything that you do personally. It just happens. It could be a lot of factors. It could be environmental factors. It could be, stress. It could be, almost anything. So what I would tell people is to just make sure that you check on your health regularly and just make sure that's a focus in your everyday life going forward.
Yeah, and I was doing a little research, Kirani, and there was this thing where you had to lose weight, gain weight, lose weight. I mean, it could have been frustrating for you.
Yeah, it was, because I think like since I was overactive, that means I had a higher metabolism than I should have, so I was losing weight.
Okay. Kirani, you were resuming competition when sadly your mother passed away. May her soul rest in peace. How were you able to manage or cope with the treatment and then suddenly the death of your mom at the same time?
Yeah, what it happened a couple of years after, like the thyroid thing. So I understood the situation with the thyroid thing. It was under control, really. So, when that happened, it wasn't like I was kind of dealing with two things at the same time, So yeah, I mean, that period was really tough, because I had to go back home, with family and everything. So, but it wasn't that I was dealing with both of them on the same level simultaneously.
Okay. Well, of course, there's so many folks that coming on. See, Orlando is saying hi to you. Hazel and Regis earlier said hi to you, and a number of folks saying hello to you. I guess as much they're glad to see you. I haven't seen you in quite a while. But switching back to competition, Kirani, despite winning the World Championships and the Olympic Games, you always won that the 400 meters is one, if not the most competitive event in modern track and field. Do you still hold that belief?
Yeah, I still think that is true. At least on the men's side, I think the 100 women's hurdles is very competitive too. But I think on the men's side, I think is the most competitive event there is.
And why? Why would you say that?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of guys that are capable of running fast, So, when it comes to, for example, like if you're in a semifinals, it means so much more now to get like a automatic, qualifying spot. So, usually it's 3 semifinals, so it's the 3 winners and the fastest second place. So, and knowing that you have more than 8 guys that are capable of winning a heat, makes it a lot more tougher.
Oh, wow, yeah. And but recently Van de Kerk said that, and to quote that, his desire rather to lower his mark at 43.03 seconds, which is obviously a sub 43 seconds. Do you think it's possible with the caliber of athletes you're seeing now in the 400 meters, it's possible to go under 43 seconds?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think anybody that could do it, I think it would be Wade. because he's been the closest to it. So, but yeah, I think it's possible. I think anything, is possible, especially when you have that level of competition and, all the guys, just, keep on improving and getting better. So yeah, I think it's possible.
Okay. Back in time, Kirani James.
And they're gone. The boys on the 17 400-meter final. And we see Grenada making up staggers. Jamaica doing well. Trinidad and Tobago still going on the outside. And it is going to be a mad dash here for the final stretch. There goes Grenada running away with it. This is James, Kirani James of Grenada, followed by Bell of Jamaica and Williams of Jamaica. Lendo and Fonset.
What was the disappointment, Kirani?
To be honest, I cannot even remember. Maybe it was probably a time target. That would probably be the only thing I could say.
It appears that you didn't. It appears that you didn't achieve what you wanted to achieve in terms of the time.
Yeah, I think it was a timing target.
Okay, that was 2008, I believe, but it was Carifta Games. As we go back to the tape once again. Do you recall?
Yeah.
And it was
that's probably the first time I've seen that video. I just realized we had different shades of uniform. We had different patterns in our uniform.
And for those who are not aware, that was Rondell Bartholomew on the other side, right? The other shade of uniform. Yeah. And first time you probably seen it, but you recall that sort of rivalry between yourself and Rondell?
Yeah, of course. That was even like going back, to home. Like, at least for me, like in the Carifta Games, it wasn't really more of a rivalry thing, but it's more of just representing, and I think, for us, that was probably the best possible outcome, was having first and second place, so
yeah. So Rondell is confirming that you were mad because of the time. yeah. You were mad, I think, because of the time, But I assume, Kirani, that there is something about the Carifta Games that yourself and Rondell and Hazelland Regis and a host of other athletes from Grenada can cherish, that they would have experienced during the Carifta Games, that they would like other athletes to probably, experience as well the Carifta Games.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I recall, Kirani, chatting with you off camera back in 2014. That is in the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, in Scotland, where you also won gold in the 400 meters. And you said that one conditions are right in terms of a relay competition, because there has always been talk about whether or not Grenada should be participating in the international the World Relays, and then also the opportunity for the World Championships and the Olympic Games. And there was also the attempt in 2012, I recall, I think, when you ran at Penn Relays in terms of the relay and did a split of 43 point something. But do you still have a desire to compete in relays for Grenada?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I think it's something that, for me, is it just gives you a element of just teamwork and team spirit, you know. So yeah, it's something I'm still very open towards doing.
But the question will be, Kirani, in this new dispensation, how is possible that, I mean, who are you seeing? What are the possibilities? What are the prospects for you to compete in a relay? What it takes, rather, for it.
Yeah, I think in terms of the process, we have to have at least, 5 guys. So, that is running, very competitively. I don't want to talk about time because guys could improve, and running on a relay sometimes is different than running individual. But I think it would take, at least 5 guys to have a good team going.
Okay. And what sort of and I asked that in the context of, Kirani, that the concern was that in the individual event, it's so competitive. In the individual event, there is the highly likelihood of Grenada getting a medal in a team event, as you rightly said. Is it something that, I mean, I don't know if Athletic Association you have been discussing with your camp, whatever it is, in respect to that?
Not really. I think we haven't had a conversation about in terms of medal prospects or anything. I think the main thing is just to try to get a team out there to see how good we can be. I think the biggest thing is that we know that there is talent. It's just harnessing it and putting us together to see what kind of performance we can make. So before we even think about medals or anything like that, we just have to go out there and try to run first.
Yeah, okay. Well, as usual, we go back to the tape.
Under some pressure, but is he going to be able to last it with the big man? Kirani James and Van Niekerk of South Africa, stride by stride, down the home straight. Lalonde Gordon finishing very, very quickly. But Van Niekerk just starting to fade, and Rooney's going to finish quick, but it won't be good enough. Kirani James is going to take the gold medal in 44.25, a new games record. The gold and the title once more go to Kirani James.
(2014) Glasgow, Scotland, Commonwealth Games, Kirani. Any memories? Anything about that?
Yeah. I think I remember. I think it was a bit cold. So yeah, but and in terms of the race, I think it was a very good race. I think Van Niekerk, I think after that race is when I really started paying a bit closer attention to him in terms of how he progressed and everything. So for me, it was a highly competitive race, and I was just glad to, continue to be able to compete, for Grenada and have another medal, have another title, for the country.
Well, folks, we're speaking with Kirani James, the former World and Olympic as well as Commonwealth Games 400 meters champion. We take a short break and we will be back.
And a fair start in the men's 400-meter dash. Kirani James in lane 4 in the all-black. Every fan in the stadium on their feet cheering Kirani James as he goes down the backstretch. And I tell you what, he looks very, very comfortable. He's made very light work of Javon Francis. And midway through this race, it's all Kirani James thus far. Kirani James with 1:50 to go. Grenada on its feet. James with work to do, but turns the home straightaway. He might have a step. Kirani James pulling away. The Grenadian flags waving. Kirani Kirani James wins his first race at his stadium named after him. The flash time 45:41, and nobody jumping up and down was here tonight. They saw Kirani deliver in the stadium that bears his name. And as he always does, Kirani James walking around to shake the hand of every competitor in the field. That's one of his signatures of being a great professional athlete.
Kirani, welcome back, and let's continue with the discussion. What advice would you have for young athletes in Grenada, especially those who are not just the 400 meters? Because, I mean, you know, you have been an inspiration to a lot of athletes, a lot of sportsmen and women, I should say, in general, whether it's track and field, basketball, whatever. What advice do you have for them? And I say athletes in the context of sportsmen and women, young ones.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, if you really and truly believe that whatever sport or whatever discipline is what you want to do, you know, you have to take it seriously. You have to, you know, dedicate yourself. You have to have discipline. And I think for me, the most important thing is you have to be around good people. You know, you have to be around, you know, good coaches. You know, make sure you listen to them and they can help you. Make sure you have good friends. You know, that understand, you know, where you want to go and what you want to do, so that they could also be on the lookout for certain things. You know, and you know, just people in general, people in the community. You know, just be around them, learn from them. You know, if they're good and they want to help you in some type of way, then accept that help, you know, and just always just try to listen to people and their experiences and just try to soak up everything as much as we can, whether it's uh, from the sports side or whether it's from academic side.
How have you been able to, I mean, I'm asking you that, how have you been able to maintain that level of humility, Kirani? I mean, it may be difficult for you to answer because it's something new, but how have you been able to maintain this humility, especially in something as sports, competitive sports, professional sports?
No, I guess part of it is just personality. I think part of it is just how I grew up, you know, with my family, you know, just, you know, being in a community where, you know, everyone looks out for each other too. You know, I think that also helps. And knowing that, you know, as long as I just give my best, you know, the people that have known me, you know, all my life, the people that have watched me growing up, you know, see me play in the streets and everything, you know, they're going to be proud of me regardless. So just knowing that, you know, it just gives me, you know, the confidence to go out and just try to represent them, you know. And the only way you can really do that is through humility. So, yeah.
And would you say, Kirani, that being able to come out into the United States and at college life, etc., that was able to give you a new hole, a new lease, a new opening in terms of what you thought about life and, you know, the opportunities that were available as well? Would you dare comment on that?
Yeah, yeah. I think, you know, when you look at, you know, just expanding and just trying to, you know, broaden your learning experience, I think for me it's been a great experience. So yeah, I think that was always one of my goals is to do, you know, athletics, because it provides me opportunity where I could, you know, migrate and go to a place where, you know, there's, you know, a lot more access to facilities, you know, access to education and things like that. So, you know, yeah, so it's an experience that, you know, that I've enjoyed. I'm still enjoying it. So I would encourage everyone to, you know, if that's what you want to do, then I would say to seek it out.
What are your thoughts what are your thought process in terms of what you would like to see in terms of track and field? That's your forte. In Grenada, first of
Yeah.
all, and the Caribbean as a whole. But let's zoom in on Grenada. What's your mindset about track and field in Grenada?
Well, I think the main thing has to be, talent identification and talent nurturing. I think if you identify, a young athlete that has potential, they have to be, in a system where, they are helped, to maximize that talent. So I would say that's the main thing to start with, and after that you could branch out, But I also think you have to have um, the ability just to be innovative and try new things and not be scared to take risks and you know sometimes demand stuff. So I would say those things are important too, and always try to bring in people with new ideas. I think that's also key too. You have to, you know, have people around you that could challenge, the way that you do certain things so that you could always try to improve it.
And so basically, you confirming that there is a future for track and field in Grenada and the Caribbean. There's a future.
Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Of course.
And that young folks should not give up hope and
Yeah.
they should stick around. Kirani, while we are there at that, just branching off a bit and probably you using this platform because we know we have seen some instances of quote unquote, violence and unrest in Grenada.
Yeah.
Using your platform, what would you like to tell the young people in particularly who have been involved in, some of the problems we have seen, the social, illness we have seen, some of them in your community in particular, but generally in Grenada, what would you like to tell them?
Well, I think the main thing is that, we have to be open to listening to each other. I think that's the first thing. I think once you start to have this, hierarchy of power, then, if you're up there and you think that you can't do no wrong or the people down here don't matter, then there's always going to be unrest. MLK said, riots, is responsible for the unheard. So, I think that's the main thing is that, we always have to try to come together and, just listen to each other, and take our qualms and our issues seriously.
Yeah. All right. Back on the track, I should say, track and field, Kirani. When can we say, and I don't know if you have a hold on what's happening in terms of the pandemic, and probably by now you probably have a schedule or whatever. But based on what we are seeing and what we're hearing now in terms of international track and field, how soon can we see Kirani back on the track?
Well, it's not going to be this year. Like, I'm shut down the season, with the virus and everything. I don't think it's safe to take, a risk, especially not knowing how this thing could affect you or people that you're around. So the earliest would be next year.
Okay. and next year, and again, Kirani, I don't think you have competed in indoor competition for quite a while. So when you say next year, you're talking about next outdoor season.
Yeah, next outdoor season.
Right. Okay. I think Hazel is saying that we need a committee of present and past athletes where we could continue to connect and guide the athletes, Kirani. What say you?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, But I think you also have to have people that have been there, that understand, the inner workings of an athlete, the mindset, the professionalism, and stuff like that. So I think that's a great point. You need people that have had that experience to be able to be in on those decisions.
Okay. And There we go. Again, I think there was a question that came up earlier, but I've tried to get back to it. But always a star Kirani in my book, Grenada's Gift to the World. That's Robert Marisho, and I assume he's speaking on behalf of the Alumni Association here in New York. And obviously, Guav will always be in the house. Sam, there's no reason why. I find she took quite a while to say hi to Kirani James, and obviously it's an opportunity for Kirani to give a big shout out to the folks of St. John.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's obviously that's where I'm from. So Reese, I see you. You have my number. You could text me. You don't have to wait until we're on Facebook or something like to text me. You could text me anytime. But yeah, just I've always keep updated with what's going on, home, especially Guav. So, my friends and everyone. So, I mean, it's I do miss it. I miss it, So.
Are you saying you miss going to Grenada? You miss being in Grenada?
Yeah, Grenada in general, Guav specifically.
Specifically, right? Yeah. And I assume with this pandemic, it has caused a problem where you urgent to go home, but just that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah. Kirani, let's get back to the whole issue of the competition. I know we spoke, about the sub 43 seconds and all these sort of things. There was once the question was asked whether or not you still have an urge or a liking for the 200 meters.
Not as much as I did before. I think as I got older, I just more specialized in 400. But I think it's still a great event. But in terms of just having interest in doing it, I don't think I have that much interest in doing 200 meters.
Again, is it another reason of the competitiveness of that 200 meters? You want to concentrate just on the 400?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. So yeah, but I think the main thing is I just want to concentrate on the 400 because of how competitive it is.
Outside of Kirani James, you have the exploits of Anderson Peters, for example, Lyndon Victor, and a number of others, although they have not reached that level of Anderson and Lyndon in terms of international, acclaim. Are you impressed with what you've seen, particularly in the field events?
Oh yeah. I think we've always had that level of good field event athletes. I think now, we have a bit of a better system, especially, in St. David's, with Coach Paul. I think what he's doing is incredible with these guys. But I've always think, we've always had, good javelin throwers and good multi-event athletes. It's just, you have to have a system to kind of harness these guys and put them in a position where they could excel. For example, like with Lyndon, right? Like he used to do like almost like every event when we were home, like in GBSS, but like he's never done like pole vault when we were home, So event like that, when he, moved to college and all that, if he had learned it home, then he would have been ahead, so far, so many years, ahead. So, so just like little stuff like that, I think, where you could improve on. But I always think we have good field events, good multi-events.
Okay, then, well, folks, interview with Kirani James live, and you can pose your questions. Kirani is available to answer your questions. Make comments. We'll be back in a moment.
He's been in brilliant form during this year. Whatever happens here, Kirani James certainly a big name in the future, I'm sure. But Merritt going to defend his world title. Away they go. Gonzalez got a brilliant start there. Took a couple of meters out of Merritt in about the first 20. And Kirani James has gone off very steadily indeed. And Kevin Borley, the European champion, is having quite a good run, but so is Tabare Henry outside him. And now Merritt begins to charge. He's running down James outside him. He's going to run this third 100 very quickly indeed. That's what he always does. And Roldale Bartholomew gaining on Gonzalez. Now what has Merritt got left? Merritt comes into the home straight, but Kirani James is coming back at the American. Kirani James is eating up the ground. James is going to win it. The defending champion is beaten. An 18-year-old has won the World Championship 400-meter final. 44.61. That equals his lifetime best, and by the time we get the official result, it could be even quicker. And LaShawn Merritt, I'm not sure he could quite believe what happened there. Kirani James, it is confirmed, as the fastest time the 18-year-old has ever run, and I tell you what, he's hardly breathing. 44.60, the new senior men's world champion.
Yes, there we go again. Kirani. Let's see. Question, Kirani. Oh, well, as he indicated that you just answered it, I think, that you will stick with the 400 meters, okay? So here on, Kirani did answer that. He says he will stick with the 400 meters, not that desire as before. In terms of the 200 meters, Therese from Maran, originally from Maran, but she's living in Toronto, Canada. And see, oh, okay, so there she is saying she's actually at work, so she should have set the alarm. Well, blame yourself, Sam. Blame yourself. I don't think Kirani will accept that excuse, you know. But Kirani, back to that was basically probably the start of things to come. 2011, as you recall, back then, going into this World Championships, what was the preparation like for you into the 2011, even at that stage as a teenager, and going in and competing with some of the more established competitors?
Yeah, I mean, my mindset was to just go out there, do my best, represent my country, well. Because I've had, coming off that, I had a long season. So I was doing indoor college, outdoor college, and then I think I did 1 or 2 professional races before the World Championships. So in terms of just having the mindset to win or anything like that, that wasn't on my mind. It was just take every round as it comes, and just try to improve and represent my country well. That was it.
And then 1 year later, the London 2012 Olympic Games. Certainly you were not absorbed in all the celebrations because you knew that it was not time for that as yet, because you had something else that you needed to accomplish. Frame of mind going into London 2012, Kirani.
Yeah, I think the frame of mind, especially, the World Championships before was to also try to do well. Is like, you set a certain standard for yourself and you want to continue to maintain that. So going in, I knew it was going to be competitive, with Santos. He's just won World Juniors, the Bowley twins, so I knew it was still going to be competitive. But in terms of winning, I always, just try to take it round after round. Don't try to think too far ahead. And when the day comes, then you start, thinking about it and just trying to put a race plan together when you see the heat sheet and everything. So, yeah. But the main thing was to just try to, just maintain a level of calm and just try to take it round after round.
Okay, and then Beijing 2015, I think it was Beijing 20. Well, yeah. even before Beijing, we had the Commonwealth Games in 2014, but Beijing was 2015 because Moscow was 2013.
Yeah.
And that was the year after the Olympic Games, Kirani, and wasn't a good race for you, I should say.
No, not at
I think
all.
this is where you had problems with the stomach and all these sort of things.
Yeah.
Let's flash back on that. You tell us what really occurred.
Yeah, I mean, you mean Moscow?
Moscow 2013, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just the World Championship you said was just a little bit weird, you know. So just going into the finals, you know, I think I woke up the morning before, I was fine, and you know, getting into like the taxi to the hotel is when I started feeling unwell, you know. So just before warm ups and all that, I was just not feeling myself. So, it just happened at a time where I needed to race and I couldn't recover, I couldn't perform the way I wanted to. So, yeah, it wasn't a good race at all. And for me, like it was, especially coming off 2012 and the form that I was in before, the World Championships. I had a very high expectation of myself at that year.
Okay. Then we had the Commonwealth Games. You actually, I think it was the first time you actually competed in the Commonwealth Games at the senior
Yeah.
level, and probably it was an opportunity for you to at least redeem yourself. And at that time, too, the Commonwealth Games Federation, I think they got this support of yourself and other top-class athletes like Bolt and Van Niekerk and others. Let's go back at Commonwealth Games. What was the thinking?
Yeah, it was same thing. I think what you said, it was just try to perform better than the last championship, and going in, I was actually really excited, so going, especially back, in the UK again, so yeah, I was very excited about the Commonwealth Games, just going in. I think that year in terms of just training and everything, just going on, I think it was one of my best years, just having like a stable, set of training and competitions and everything. So yeah, I was really excited about it.
Okay, here a question for you, Kirani.
Yeah, same coach.
Yeah.
Same coach.
So Marcel, your question is answered. Kirani has the same coach, Coach Avi Glantz, who has been an inspiration to Kirani and to other, by the way, not just Kirani, I should say to other Grenadian athletes. Always recall that speech he gave in Glasgow in 2014. Still have it recorded somewhere there. Always share it with other athletes because it was very inspiring. What advice would you give current athletes that have potential to attend colleges, university, but might be struggling academically? From Hazel, Kirani, question to you.
Yeah, I think well, I think the first thing is you have to recognize that you're struggling academically. I think once you recognize that, then I think the most logical thing to do is to have a conversation with the teachers or your principals and everything like that. Like for me, like when I was in GBSS, I knew that, well, a lot of the teachers knew, that I had certain goals that I wanted to reach. So just having them understand that and trying to help me in any way I can, whether it's taking some extra lessons after, and things like that. I think that really helps. So I think the teachers and the school has to be on board in understanding that, sometimes, athletes need just a little bit of extra attention. Like I remember, I think in 2009, when I was in GBSS, we had to do I think it was World Youth Games. It was in India. And I think it was around in like October or something like that, right? And just the staff, the teaching staff understanding that I was going to be away for a week or 2 weeks. And that when I come back, that they actually had a plan in place to help me, catch up. I think that is incredible. So I would use that as an example for, like if there are talented students out there and they're in the school system, then the teachers have to recognize that to try to help them achieve those goals.
Okay. I think there is a question from Edwin Sam over in New Jersey. What are his thoughts on PEDs in the sport today? What are your thoughts on PEDs in the sport today, Kirani?
To be honest, I have really no idea because that's one, thing I try to stay away from. But in terms of knowing what's happening, I don't know. So if people get caught or whatever, then they have to suffer the consequences or whatever that's in place to punish them or whatever. So I try to stay far away from things that are even close to stuff like that. So yeah.
And how were you able to juggle between that and I know some people sometimes get trapped in, especially in your medical condition you were in a few years ago, having
Yeah.
to medication and treatment and all these things.
Yeah.
How was the process? You had to report to the IAAF as often as possible in terms of your medication, your treatment, etc.
No, not at all, because that's not like what I take is not really like a performance enhancing thing. It's just to regulate my thyroid. So in some cases, you would have to have a therapeutic use exemption. That's one way. Another way where, when you get tested and filling out the forms, they ask you if you have any medications that you want to declare. And I always declare my medication. So even though I don't remember the dosage or whatever, I have it saved in my phone. So I even have a picture of it on my phone so I could show them so that they can see what's going on. Yeah. So I would say if you have like other serious conditions, I would say always consult, whether it's WADA or the IAAF or even your agent or your coach or whatever. I would always say consult and make sure that you don't take any unnecessary risk or chances.
Okay. Here we go with another question. What projects are you working on other than track and field? And Aaron said, beyond sports.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say too much right now, but obviously, there are some things home that I want to do. So, but I don't want to say anything too much now.
Okay, sorry, Haran. Sorry for busting your bubbles, Haran. As Kirani says, you can't say too much, these days, you can't say too much because you never know. Yes, but he has plans. That's a takeaway from it. There are plans beyond sports, but he's not in a position to provide that at this point in time. So, Kirani, let's move again now. So we have covered it, 2014, then 2015 went on this time to Beijing for the World Championships in Beijing. Bronze this time. I think it was bronze. Yeah, it was bronze in 2015.
Yeah.
Behind Merritt and Van de Kerk. What went wrong? What was the game plan and what went wrong eventually?
Yeah, I don't think anything went wrong. I just think, there were some very talented and great guys, in the race, so I would say, just the high level of competition there was, and I think if there was something that I did wrong, maybe it was I let them get, I guess, too far ahead. So at the end, I couldn't catch up with them. So I would say that's the only thing. But I think my takeaway from that was the two guys, first place, second place, were great guys. They're legendary guys. So, it wasn't anything that I was looking too much into.
Okay, and in and between, obviously the Diamond League, which you dominated and be competitive on the Diamond League. But 2016 in Rio, there was a lot at stake. It was your Olympic title, basically, because it was the next Olympic Games after 2012. preparation and race time Kirani. What was playing up? What was going on? I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing was, just looking at, okay, so when you have so many talented guys in the event, you start looking at, the heat sheet to see who's, in a lane ahead or lane behind, and I think he was in one of the outer lanes, but Sean was right behind me, so it was very, tough to kind of plan because both of them are capable of doing like, really, really good. So, my idea was, I have LaShawn behind me. He's going to be gauging me the whole time, and he could see when I make a move or anything like that. And the thing is, I could see way when he makes a move. So, it was like, how would I really know if he goes out too fast or he's going to die at the end and things like that. So that I would say that was the only thing I was really, thinking about, from my perspective.
okay, then we have some questions coming in, Kirani. First one here, what's your take on other Caribbean 400 meters athletes like Stephen Gardner out of the Bahamas and others?
Yeah, I think Steven is incredible. Yeah, I think he's an incredible athlete, incredible guy.
Okay, and here is another one coming in. This one is from Mike. He is asking, have you been monitoring any of the athletes who are still here and up and coming, like Tygon Peterkin, who has the sub-junior record at the GBSS, referring to the Grenada Boys Secondary School, at 49.95 seconds, accomplished at age 14?
No, I have not been really keeping up with athletes that young, but I think that's 49.95. I think that's incredible. So yeah, that's somebody at least I'll be looking out for.
49.9 at age 14.
Yeah,
It's a Kirani protege. Of course, right. And as Marcel came back to say thank you, I guess, for the response you gave earlier on regarding your coach. We have just about 2.5 minutes remaining, Kirani. What would you like to say to your track and field fans, especially your fans, those who have been following you religiously? What would you like to say to them regarding what they can look out for Kirani come 2021? You have already indicated that you have shut down for 2020, and 2021 you will be back. So what it is you would like them to know, noting also that 2021 will be the 2020 Olympic Games, and then come 2022 we'll have the World Championship that should have been 2021 right here in the United States.
Yeah, I just want to tell everyone thanks for your support, especially in the last couple of years, where it's been very tested, for me. So I just want to thank you guys for just always supporting and sending messages. I have gotten all your messages. I just haven't had time to respond to them because it's so many. But I have seen them and I really appreciate it, especially, last year, So thank you guys so much for the support and your thoughts last year, what I was going through and me and my family. And just looking forward, 2021, I'm, like I always say, I'm going to try my best, to try to make everyone home proud. Everyone that's associated with me in some type of way, just try to make them proud, through competition and through just trying to be a positive influence. So, and hopefully everyone, we can get through this virus, but we have to do it together. We can't be selfish. We can't, think that, we're invincible or anything like that. So, we have to do it together. We have to, follow instructions at the same time, make sense of some of the instructions that we are given, So, so I just hope everyone to, just have a good time, enjoy family, enjoy friends, enjoy loved ones, and hopefully we'll all be back to normal very soon.
Okay, then, what's a fitting way to end that? And just to invite folks who are listening that come next program, we'll be speaking with another Grenadian former 400-meter runner. He is Joel Phillip, who will be speaking about folks, especially, and it's important for prospective sportsmen and women, not just track and field, who are, have intentions of coming to the United States to pick up scholarships, whatever, the in and outs of what you should know, especially the parents as well, what you should know, especially when it comes to offering of scholarships and other things like that. He's the Associate Athletic Director at the University of the District of Columbia. And Joel, as you know, is a former 400-meter runner for Grenada. He represented Grenada at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing. What a fitting way to end that program, Kirani. And of course, we wouldn't go without flashing back on the memories of Kirani James running in the 400 meters.
He's been in brilliant form during this year. Whatever happens here, Kirani James certainly a big name in the future, I'm sure. But Merritt going to defend his world title. Away they go. Gonzalez got a brilliant start there. Took a couple of meters out of Merritt in about the first 20. And Kirani James has gone off very steadily indeed. And Kevin Borley, the European champion, is having quite a good run, but so is Tabare Henry outside him. And now Merritt begins to charge. He's running down James outside him. He's going to run this third 100 very quickly indeed. That's what he always does. And Roldale Bartholomew gaining on Gonzalez. Now what has Merritt got left? Merritt comes into the home straight, but Kirani James is coming back at the American. Kirani James is eating up the ground. James is going to win it. The defending champion is beaten. An 18-year-old has won the World Championship 400-meter final. 44.61. That equals his lifetime best, and by the time we get the official result, it could be even quicker. And LaShawn Merritt, I'm not sure he could quite believe what happened there. Kirani James, it is confirmed, as the fastest time the 18-year-old has ever run, and I tell you what, he's hardly breathing. 44.60, the new senior men's world champion.
Under some pressure, but is he going to be able to last it with the big man? Kirani James and Van Niekerk of South Africa, stride by stride, down the home straight. Lalonde Gordon finishing very, very quickly. But Van Niekerk just starting to fade, and Rooney's going to finish quick, but it won't be good enough. Kirani James is going to take the gold medal in 44.25, a new Games record. The gold and the title once more go to Kirani James.
And a fair start in the men's 400-meter dash. Kirani James in lane 4 in the all-black. Every fan in the stadium on their feet cheering Kirani James as he goes down the backstretch. And I tell you what, he looks very, very comfortable. He's made very light work of Javon Francis. And midway through this race, it's all Kirani James thus far. Kirani James with 150 to go. Grenada on its feet. James with work to do, but turns the home straight away. He might have a step. Kirani James pulling away. The Grenadian flags waving. Kirani James wins his first race at his stadium named after him. The flash time 45.41, and nobody jumping up and down was here tonight. They saw Kirani deliver in the stadium that bears his name. And as he always does, Kirani James walking around to shake the hand of every competitor in the field. That's one of his signatures of being a great professional athlete.
Oh, indeed, Kirani. You know, I know we have run out of time. Of course,
That's okay.
some of the comments. Yeah, some of the comments keep coming, and
I've had a good
I'm
time
just
with this program. So yeah.
okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, let me see. Some of the comments were coming in while we were watching that, but of course, when I found out that Kirani, I decided to educate myself on the disease. I couldn't believe Kirani was able to compete at that level. Unbelievable. That's from Kennedy Phillip. And of course, Hazel is saying thank you very much, I assume, for the program. And wrapping up was Edwin Sam of New Jersey. Great job. Saying thank you. So thank you once again, Kirani. Thank you to all the folks who have made this program possible. And hope you can join us to come next week when we link up with Joel Phillip, and hopefully Kirani will join us in a future program once again to give us an update. Hopefully, Haron, he might be telling us what the plans are. I know, he might be telling us what the plans are. But once again, thank you very much, Kirani, and I appreciate you joining us on this program.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. So that's our program today. And join us come next Thursday, same time, 6:30 p.m.